Surrender. For years, I thought this word meant giving up, defeat, waving the white flag. Then my wife introduced me to this concept in a spiritual context over a decade ago, and honestly, I didn't get it. How could surrender be anything other than failure? But here's what I've discovered on my own spiritual journey. I had it completely backwards. And if you're scrolling through spiritual content on social media today, you're probably getting two equally wrong messages. Either surrender means doing nothing and being passive, or it means admitting defeat. Both are dead wrong. And today, I'm going to show you what surrender actually means, and why it might be the most powerful thing you ever learn. Stay with me. This could change everything. So let me tell you where I was coming from. Before my spiritual journey, surrender meant losing, giving up before the fight was over, letting people walk all over you, being weak. And honestly, our culture reinforces this. We're taught to fight, to control, to make things happen. We're the masters of our destiny, right? So when spiritual teachers, whether it's modern voices like Michael Singer or ancient wisdom from the Bhagavad Gita, talk about surrender, it sounds wrong. It sounds like they're telling us to become doormats. But here's what I'm seeing all over social media now. So-called spiritual gurus throwing around the word surrender without understanding what it actually means. Some use it as spiritual bypassing. Just surrender, don't worry about taking action, the universe will provide. Others make it sound like defeat. You can't control anything, so just give up. Both of these miss the point entirely. Let's get clear on what surrender is not. It's not doing nothing. This is huge. Surrender doesn't mean sitting on your couch waiting for the universe to deliver. That's not spirituality. That's avoidance. It's not being passive. You don't become a pushover. You don't let people treat you poorly. You don't abandon your responsibilities. It's not giving up on your dreams. This isn't about lowering your standards or settling for less. It's not resignation. There's a difference between surrender and resignation. Resignation says, nothing matters, why bother? That's depression talking, not enlightenment. So if it's none of these things, what is it? Here's what I've learned from teachers like Michael Singer, who literally documented his surrender experiment in real time, from the Bhagavad Gita, from the Tao Te Ching, from Christian mystics, from Buddhist teachings. They're all pointing to the same truth. Surrender is about discernment between two spheres of reality. Sphere 1. What's yours to control? Your effort, your intention, your presence, your integrity, your response to what happens. Your inner state. Sphere 2. What's not yours to control? Outcomes, other people's responses, timing, the broader flow of life, results, how things unfold. Are you seeing this? Surrender means you take full responsibility for Sphere 1. You show up completely. You do what's yours to do with everything you've got, and then you release Sphere 2. Let me give you a personal example. A few years into my spiritual journey, I was working on a project I cared deeply about. The old me would have been consumed with anxiety. Will it succeed? Will people like it? What if I fail? Surrender looked like this. I put in the work every day with focus and commitment. but I released my death grip on needing it to look a certain way or arrive on a certain timeline. I did my part, then I let go of the outcome. And you know what happened? The project didn't unfold the way I planned. It unfolded better. But I never would have seen that possibility if I'd been forcing my limited vision onto reality. Michael Singer talks about this beautifully in The Surrender Experiment. He had a plan for his life. Live as a yogi, meditate in the woods. But life kept presenting opportunities he didn't plan for. Each time, he practiced surrender. He said yes to what life was bringing, even when it didn't match his plan. That's how he ended up building a billion-dollar software company while living as a spiritual practitioner. That's not passive. That's not doing nothing. That's radical trust combined with radical action. Now, this isn't a new concept I'm making up. Every major spiritual tradition has this teaching. They just use different words. In Hinduism, the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna teaches Arjuna about karma yoga, the yoga of action. He says, "You have a right to perform your prescribed duties, but you are not entitled to the fruits of your actions." This is surrender. Do your duty fully, completely, with excellence. Then release attachment to the results. In Taoism, Wu Wei, the concept of Wu Wei means effortless action or non-forcing. It's not about doing nothing. It's about acting in harmony with the natural flow of things rather than forcing your agenda onto reality. The Tao Te Ching says, "The master does nothing, yet leaves nothing undone." That's the paradox. Maximum effectiveness through minimum forcing. In Christianity, "Thy will be done." When Jesus says in the Garden of Gethsemane, "Not my will, but yours be done," that's surrender. It's not passive. He's actively aligning himself with divine will while facing the most difficult moment of his life. The Serenity Prayer captures this. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. That's the discernment I'm talking about. In Buddhism, non-attachment. Buddhist teachings on non-attachment aren't about not caring. They're about engaging fully with life while not clinging to outcomes. You can love deeply without grasping. You can work hard without being attached to specific results. In Islam, tawakkul. In Sufism, tawakkul means trust in God's plan. But there's a famous story. A man asks the Prophet Muhammad if he should tie his camel and trust in Allah, or just trust in Allah. The Prophet says, "Tie your camel first, then trust in Allah." Action plus surrender, not one or the other. Beyond Michael Singer, there are other contemporary teachers who really get this. Eckhart Tolle talks about surrender as accepting the present moment unconditionally and without reservation. Not resigning to it, accepting it as the starting point for your action. Ram Dass often said, "The spiritual journey is individual, highly personal. It can't be organized or regulated. It isn't true that everyone should follow one path. Listen to your own truth." That's surrender. To your own inner guidance, not someone else's plan. Byron Katie teaches loving what is, which sounds passive until you realize it's about ending the war with reality so you can actually respond effectively. Rupert Spira speaks about surrender as the recognition that the separate self trying to control everything is an illusion in the first place. And here's the thing, all these teachers have in common. They're not teaching passivity. They're teaching the end of the exhausting, futile attempt to control what you can't control, so you can focus your energy on what you actually can do. Let's talk about what you're actually surrendering, because this is where it gets personal. You're not surrendering your goals or your dreams or your responsibilities. You're surrendering your ego's story about how things should unfold. The ego says, "I know exactly how this should happen. My worth depends on this outcome. If I don't control this, it will all fall apart. I need this specific result to be happy, safe, or worthy." And here's what I've discovered. That voice is exhausting. It's the voice that kept me up at night worrying. It's the voice that made me rigid and controlling in my relationships. It's the voice that robbed me of joy even when good things were happening, because I was so focused on what might go wrong. Surrender is calling out that voice. It's saying, "I see you, ego. I know you think you're protecting me, but you're not in charge anymore." And paradoxically, when you surrender the ego's control, you actually become more effective. Why? Because you're responding to what is, not fighting with what isn't. You're flowing with reality instead of against it. Michael Singer puts it this way: if you want to be happy, you have to let go of the part of you that wants to create melodrama. Okay, enough theory. How do you actually practice surrender in real life? Practice 1. The daily discernment exercise. Each morning, take 5 minutes. List what's yours to do today. Your actions, your intentions, your responses. List what's not yours to control. Outcomes, other people, timing. Commit fully to column 1. Release column 2. Practice 2. The inspired action check. Before taking action, ask yourself, am I doing this from fear or from inspiration? Am I trying to force an outcome, or am I responding to what's being called for? Am I attached to a specific result, or am I open to what wants to emerge? If you're acting from fear and force, pause. Surrender first, then act. Practice 3. The outcome release ritual. After you've done your part, whether it's sending that email, having that conversation, submitting that application, close your eyes, take a breath, visualize yourself literally releasing it, like opening your hands and watching it float away. Say out loud, "I've done my part. I release the outcome." This isn't magical thinking. It's a practice to train your nervous system to stop gripping. Practice 4. The "what is life teaching me" question. When things don't go your way, instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What is life teaching me right now? What's the invitation here?" This shifts you from victim to student, from resistance to curiosity. Practice 5. The surrender meditation. Michael Singer style. Sit quietly. Notice whatever's arising in your mind, worries, plans, anxieties. Instead of engaging with them, practice saying internally, "I let that go." Not suppressing, not fighting, just releasing. Over and over. This trains you in the muscular action of surrender. Real-life application. Let's say you're in a difficult relationship situation. Someone you care about is upset with you. Without surrender, you obsess over their reaction. You try to control how they feel. You replay conversations. You scheme about how to fix it. You can't sleep. You make it all about whether they forgive you because that determines your worth. With surrender, you reflect on your actions. If you were wrong, you genuinely apologize. You communicate clearly and honestly. Then you release their response. You can't control whether they forgive you, how long they take, or what they decide. You can only control your integrity and your openness. You do your part. You let go of the rest. See the difference? You're not doing less. You're actually doing more because you're taking full responsibility for what's yours. But you're not exhausting yourself trying to control what isn't. Here's the wild paradox I've discovered. Surrender doesn't make you weak. It makes you powerful. When you're constantly trying to control everything, you're actually powerless. You're reactive, anxious, scattered. You're fighting reality, which means reality is controlling you. But when you surrender what's not yours and fully own what is yours, you become focused, clear, responsive rather than reactive. You have all your energy available for what actually matters. Think about water. It's the perfect metaphor for surrender. Water doesn't force its way through obstacles. It flows around them, under them, over them. And over time, water shapes stone. That's power through surrender. Or think about martial arts. The master doesn't meet force with force. They redirect energy. They move with the opponent, not against them. That's Wu Wei. That's surrender. The irony is, the tighter you grip, the less control you actually have. But when you hold life with an open hand, you can respond to it with wisdom. Now, some of you might be thinking, but what about ambition? What about goals? Are you saying I shouldn't want things? No. Want things. Have dreams. Set goals. But hold them loosely. Work toward them with everything you've got, then release your attachment to the exact form they take. What about injustice? Should I just surrender to oppression? Absolutely not. Surrender is not passivity in the face of wrong. In fact, true surrender often requires tremendous courage to act. Rosa Parks didn't give up her seat. That wasn't surrender. That was resistance. But her ability to remain calm and grounded in that moment, that came from a deep spiritual surrender to truth and justice beyond her personal safety. Surrender doesn't mean you don't stand up for what's right. It means you do what's right without being attached to controlling the entire outcome. Isn't this just spiritual bypassing? It can be if you use it to avoid responsibility. That's why I keep emphasizing, do your part. Surrender is what comes after you've shown up fully, not instead of showing up. Let me share something personal. The concept of surrender that my wife introduced me a decade ago didn't click immediately. I intellectually understood it, but I didn't live it. It wasn't until I faced a situation where I literally couldn't control the outcome. No amount of effort, planning, or manipulation would work, that I finally got it. I had to do my part and then trust, let go, surrender. And in that letting go, I found a peace I'd been chasing my whole life. Not the peace of getting what I wanted, the peace of being okay regardless of the outcome. That's when I realized I'd been fighting reality my entire life, and reality always wins that fight. Always. But I didn't have to keep fighting. I could work with life instead of against it. Now, I'm not perfect at this. Some days I still catch myself gripping, controlling, anxiously trying to force outcomes. But now I have a practice. I notice it. I breathe. I ask, what's mine to do? I do that. Then I release the rest. And life has gotten, I don't want to say easier because it's not always easy, but it's gotten lighter, more flowing, more joyful. So here's my invitation to you. Try it. For 1 week. Pick one area of your life where you're gripping, controlling, anxious about the outcome. Do your part, whatever's genuinely yours to do. Then practice releasing the outcome. Every time you notice yourself gripping again, breathe and let go. See what happens. You might discover what I discovered. That surrender isn't the end of your power. It's the beginning of it. I'll leave you with this quote from Michael Singer. The highest spiritual path is life itself. If you know how to live daily life, it all becomes a liberating experience. That's surrender. Living life fully, completely, courageously, and releasing your grip on how it all has to unfold. If this resonated with you, I'd love to hear about your experience with surrender in the comments. Have you struggled with this concept? What's helped you understand it? And if you're on a spiritual journey and want more content like this, real talk about what these teachings actually mean, without the social media fluff, subscribe and hit that notification bell. Thanks for being here. Until next time, do your part and let go of the rest.